to announce and welcome Dr. Justine Pear, who's Grenadian. So you know we have a special kind of pride about that. And Mr. Ryan Knight. And an apology for our usual host, our brother and comrade, John Caliste, who has lost his voice. And to apologize too for my own, because I'm not at my best this evening in terms of I too had the allergies or cold, whatever, all week. And mine is just recovering, but his has gone entirely. So he's asked me to try and fill in his terribly big shoes of trying to host this evening's The Talking Point. I'd like to get right to the meat of this discussion because I want to leave ample space for you to ask questions and respond to a very valuable piece of work, if I could call it that, or set of work, which is the first ever Black labor market needs assessment survey to be done in Canada by Dr. Pear and Ryan Knight. And we have the honor and pleasure of Dr. Pear himself being here. Ryan will join us later. So let's get right into it and have Dr. Pear introduce himself and speak a little bit about the work that he has done, which is Black Labor Market Needs Assessment Survey in Canada. Thank you, Dr. Pear, for appearing tonight.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ms. Connell. Thank you very much, and thank you to GEM FM for having me here. I think that I've been a family more or less now of GEM FM for a while. I've been, on the show many times, and I think, wow, this is our second time meeting. Okay, so that's very good. Well, to give a small introduction, a brief introduction of myself, as Mrs. Connell said, that my name is Justine Pear. I'm originally from the island of Grenada. Okay, and we kind of grew up in Grenada, born and bred there, went to various schools, but Heinze, St. George's Heinze, and then GBSS. And so I have been, I live in Canada now, and we have our research firm. So our research firm is the name of Dunn Pear Barnett and Company Canada Limited, and the Dunn and the Pear is myself. I'm a shareholder and part owner of the company, and we are one of the, or maybe the few, or maybe most prominent Black research firm in Canada, or maybe North America. So we conduct a lot of what is called research on social issues but we specialize in basically maybe 3 areas. Our main areas of specialization is skills and skills certification, national training agencies. Our next area is the whole area of human trafficking, that we were very, very versed in that. And the third area is the whole issue of social research, conducting surveys, which is our niche market, labor market needs assessment. So our firm has in its history conducted over 160 studies on this in about 40 countries. So we are very good at what we do. We think that we are very good, and what makes our firm different is that we, as a Black firm in Canada, where, as I said, the whole issue of systemic racism in Canada, we do not get many. So as a Black firm, we do not get many opportunities in Canada, and as a result, we concentrate most of our research in the developing countries. So in fact, 87% of all our work are done in developing countries. And we've done like the Turks and Caicos migration skills survey in 2016. We have done the Haitian migration studies. We have done the skills audit. We have done some work with the Pan American Health Organization, CARICOM, the World Bank. We're doing now a strategic plan for the IOM, which is in the 14 countries of Latin America, which is the International Labor Organization. We have done work, boat registration. So we have done a lot of work within the area. So I think that we are very comfortable, and it is something that, but labor in that respect, our firm has been given this task to conduct this labor market needs assessment for the organization, for an organization called ACBN, which is Afro-Caribbean Business Network. And this is just, and as I said, I'm one of the director. I'm the director of research and business development. But what makes it our firm also important is that our firm presently has one of the largest database of Black people in Canada, maybe the USA, and about 80 countries. So a lot of the international organizations use our database to sort of gain access and find information with Black peoples. We collectively, we gather information, economic data, all type of data on Black people. And so, because as a result of the death of, George Floyd and all types of these types of things, people are now kind of searching out the company. We're getting a bit of recognition as the premier firm in the collection of data on Black people. And later on, we will discuss that in more details.
Well, thank you for that. And let me, on behalf of GEM FM and John, I'm sure, and the rest of his team, commend you on this accomplishment. The fact that this is the first of its kind survey in Canada speaks volumes about the fact that your company has emerged with that kind of prominence in Canada. And we know that that doesn't happen very often. So it leads me to my first question, which is, how did your company, or how did you come about attracting or securing this contract? Based on your experience, how did you come about that? And because it's useful for listeners and others who are behind to understand how these things work as well. Not to spend too much time on it, but just to get a sense of context for this work.
Right. Okay, then. Well, for example, so what we do when you bid, for example, if there is a problem to be solved as a researcher, as a scientist, when there is a problem to be solved, the firm or the issuing organization would issue what is called either an expression of interest or a terms of reference. So a terms of reference will be sent out to any 72, 100 different organizations in the world. They will submit their proposal, and the best proposals win. So in that case, the ACBN submitted a proposal to conduct a labor market needs assessment. And when we read the terms of reference, we realized that the labor market needs assessment for Southern Ontario would be too expensive for the company, because labor market needs assessment is a specific type of survey that is done by countries. It is so expensive that only government can do it. So in our advice to the directors of the ACBN, we informed them that they, as a firm, as an organization, should not do this large and elaborate survey. What they should have done is conduct what is called a rapid labor market needs assessment. And since that our firm is the firm that has the largest database of Black people in Canada, there's no other organization. So we had the authority and to sort of, we had more data, more information on how many persons are in Canada, how many Black businesses are in Canada. Because what we have done collect over the years is that systematically gather these information. So currently we conduct 2 labor force surveys of over 593 Black firms all over Canada. Okay, so we were able to have that kind of data, that kind of a reputation And we presented the alternative to them, and they said, hey, well, let's take us on. We signed a contract. We started the survey. We had a press release in April. We had some like a radio show. We informed the mayor. We met the mayor. We met some of the ministers of government in Canada, and everybody was on that. Gave us the encouragement. So we ended up doing the survey. As I said, the survey was very difficult, but because obviously, people are very suspicious about collecting information, but eventually it was successful.
Well, congratulations again on the win, on being awarded that contract, because, some of us have a sense of what bidding on these contracts involves. And for you to have won it, says a lot about the work that you have done. So to get to the meat of it, therefore, what exactly is a labor market assessment?
Okay, so this is
help us understand what that is.
Right. It's a very good question, actually, because after when we have the contract, people started to ask us, what is a labor market needs assessment? They have never heard the term before. What is a labor market assessment? How come I'm living in Canada and that's the first time I'm hearing this term? So I just want to give you an explanation from the source. So according to the ILO, which is the governing body of labor, it's called the International Labor Organization. The ILO described a labor market needs assessment as activities conducted to assess the future skills needs of the labor market or the economy in a strategic way using consistent systematic methods. Okay. What the labor market assessment does, it gives information on occupation and industries within the labor market, such as the jobs, job types, number of jobs, salaries, education level, levels of occupation or type of work, demographics, the number of establishment within a specific sector. The labor market needs assessment also aim to provide information on all labor market actors about the current and the potential for skills needs, the inefficiencies, imbalance, and constraints in the market. Okay, it can be, so what the labor market also helps to do, determine the high potential growth sector, which may provide opportunities for entrepreneurs. It also identifies opportunities where there is a present or anticipated demand in the labor market. It helps people to understand the mismatch and the gaps in the labor force. It also helps to identify constraints and opportunities in the wider market. So it also helps to understand the roles that informal and cultural norms play in the labor market. So what we basically see is that the labor market, in order for a country to develop, you must start with the labor market. It's the foundation. So, for example, Japan, when it was destroyed in the Second World War, the first thing they did was the labor market. In India, in just after independence, the first thing they did was also the labor market. So most developing countries start off with a labor market, but I said a labor market is very, very expensive. That's why only countries can do it, because it's so much involved. And we, as I said, what is one of the challenges we find that in Canada, and this specific type of study has never been done in 50 years in the history of us as Black people living in Canada. No one has ever considered doing a labor market, not the universities or governments or anyone. And this is what made it very surprising to us. But we always, in our analysis in conducting the desk review, we also found out that Canada is considered a developed country. Mm-hmm. And labor markets are akin to developing countries. So maybe that could be some of the reasons why. Okay. But, so that's a challenge. However, in the research, what we have found is that Black people in Canada, even though we live in a developed country, we are considered people from a developing country.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So that's why we found out that this labor market needs assessment was very critical. Okay, it was very, very critical to the development of Black people. So, for example, if I ask you, let's say if you have a friend or niece from Grenada, and she has a husband, two teenage children, and an 8-year-old, and she said, Aunt Val, I want to come to Canada. Which is the best area for I to live? Which is the best school that accept Black children? Which is the industry that Black people should know? You can't answer these questions. You don't know, because the labor market needs assessment has never been done in the history of Canada. So you don't know where Black people are. Yes, and that is
very surprising, though.
Right, exactly, and it was also surprising to us that in 50 years, something like that, no one ever. We hired a consultant to look at how much funds Black people receive, and it's close to over $2 billion in funding, and no one has ever taught in over the last 50 years to conduct a labor market needs assessment. But in order for the country to grow, you must do a labor market assessment. It's not my words; it's the word of the ILO. It's the words of the United Nations. And remember that Black people in Canada we are 3.5% of the Canadian population, and a smaller percentage of the world. Mm-hmm. So we need to start listen to the words of the United Nations and the ILO, and that's why this labor market needs assessment is so important.
Absolutely. I know Grenada tried to do something.
Yes.
Labor survey recently. I'm not sure the specifics of it, whether it's the same or similar, but I know something was done by the Statistics Department.
Yes.
So let's get into the meat of it, therefore.
Yes.
So what are some of the major findings?
Well, for example, that some of the findings are very interesting. Okay, so we conducted the survey. We as a organization, we polled around 1900, and we polled 1900 survey was sent out to 1903 persons. 1583 accepted. We had a response rate about 83%.
Wow, okay? That's high.
So that's high. Yes. Okay. The surveys was done. We had a margin of error of plus 1.12% and a confidence level of about 95%. So the survey was pretty good. Okay. Because I said that obviously we have the database, we know where the clients are, and we send out the survey to them. Well, so what we found, some of the major findings that, first of all, the main findings that we found is the whole issue of classifications. Okay, how businesses are classified. So normally, you go to the bank, you will listen to Statistics Canada, they tell you a small business, the whole idea of a small business. So when you hear about the small business, Val, what do you think? What's your impression?
If I hazard a guess, I would say between 1 to 50 employees in the context of Canada. Right? That would be a guess.
Right. Right, good. Yeah, so in statistics, if you go on the statistics website, they have something, they describe something called a matrix of what is a small business. So according to Statistics Canada, a small business comprised of between 1 and 99 employees.
Ooh.
That's a small business.
Much bigger than what I thought, right?
Right, okay. Yeah. Small business. Other international agencies consider it a small business. So just imagine that. So Black, because we are in a developing country, because even though we live in Canada, we still see ourselves, because of racism, institutional racism, we are not given the opportunities. The majority of the population see us as not really equal to them. They see us people, we are as though we're in a developed country, but being but our processes are as though we are developing. So, for example, when we conducted this survey, we found out that 86% of all businesses, Black businesses, were under 1 to 4 employees. Okay? Very small. Okay, so the whole idea, so in labor market assessment and how we assess these things, so these are not, they are not considered in the grand scheme of things, they are not considered a small business.
So what are they called? Micro enterprise will suffice, or is there a category they're put into?
So we as experts put those businesses, what is called, they're nano firms, very small firms. So nano firms, 99% of nano firms are what we call our self-finance. They need to be to finance themselves. So you have 2 or 3 persons. You have an idea. You go to the bank. You ask the bank for a loan. The bank will not give you the loan. So why the bank does not give you a loan? You're a small business. The bank gives loans to small businesses, but you're not a small business. You're nano firms. Nano firms are self-finance. You have to come up with your own money, the concept of nano firms. So, but you see that 86% of all Black firms are nano firms. So that is for the first challenge is that Black firms they have serious challenges getting finance from institutions. And we found that is one of the main reasons. The whole we developed a theory, the whole theory of what is called misclassification. So you are, in your opinion, that you're a small firm, but you're really not a small firm. You are a nano firm. And then from 1 to 4 employees is considered a nano firm. Then from 5 to 49 employees is considered a micro business. And then from 50 to 100 is.
Oh, you say that again? From how much? What was the micro business?
From 5 to 49 is considered a micro business.
Okay.
And from 50 to 99 are small business. From 100 to 499 are medium enterprise businesses. And from 500 and above are large businesses.
Well, I learned something tonight. I must tell you, I never heard the expression nano business.
Yeah, you can Google it. Okay, it's not my term.
I'm accepting.
A concept posited by Professor Barnell.
I'm totally accepting what you're saying and opening up my mind to learn.
So this is one of the first challenges we found. Yes. That businesses, in Black businesses, have a wrong concept. They are misclassified. They perceive themselves as small businesses. They go to the bank and say, well, I want a small business loan. But they're really not small businesses in the grand scheme of things. A one-man operation, two persons. So these are some of some of the first challenges we found. We also found that just one second. We also found that there are challenges in terms of we as a population. We are 1.2 million people, but we have 27,640 registered business as of June the 1st. So only 2.5% of our population are business people. So not enough Black businesses, only 2.5%. So when we disaggregate the Canadian population, so we look at the database of all businesses in Canada. In Canada, there are approximately 8.4 million businesses. However, 11% or 11.1%, of all businesses in Canada, there are 11% or 11% of the Canadian population are businessmen or businesses. However, 2.3% of Black businesses of Black people have businesses.
So let me ask you, how does that compare to other races?
Oh, we are way low. Actually, we have one of the lowest business to ethnic ratio in the country. Okay. So we have there's a lot of gap. There's a lot of room for Black businesses, and we can see, and that's where the problem lies. So the first problem is that, And that is why you need a labor market needs assessment, because a labor market needs assessment is one of the only tools that can give you such kind of critical information.
Yeah.
So no wonder why most of us are unemployed as Black people, because our businesses cannot employ our children when they graduate.
Wow.
Okay? So whereas, for example, in other countries, in other ethnic groups, 18% business equity ratio, you go into certain regions in Canada or in Ontario, and only people from one race you see in the businesses everywhere, the progressions. Okay, so we have to see that we do not have enough businesses. So one of the first challenges is that not enough businesses are there in Canada, Black businesses. We need now to expand. We need a rapid progress, a rapid increase in businesses. So we need, for example, from my labor market, from my professional experience, we should get maybe with 50,000 businesses. If you get 50,000 businesses in the next 5 years, what will happen? Each of them with a minimum of, let's say, 5 to 10 employees. The situation with Black people in Canada will be solved. Will solve because we will employ our own. If we have almost perfect employment, and that is the challenge we as Black people in Canada face, because we have never conducted a labor market needs assessment in the history of Canada. Not even no government, no Black organization, no whatever, no one ever thought about that. They give funding to the universities, but the universities are not specialists in conducting labor market needs assessment. No university in Canada has ever conducted a labor market, okay? And that is why, and the concept of the labor market is a concept that was developed by the ILO. But it was put in place for developing countries. It says that we feel that we are developed in Canada. We
need to have it, yeah.
Yes,
so what are the major findings were there?
Well, first of all, we found out that as I said, that there are approximately 495,000 black people who are employed. Okay, the average income of a Black business is around $61,000. Okay. We also found out that in Canada, the 86% of all Black firms obviously have less than 5 people. 62% of all Black businesses are concentrated in 5 sectors. So there are 42 of the 42 major industries in Canada. Black businesses are in 26. But they are concentrated in only 5 sectors. So you see, okay. So it could mean just imagine that as Black people, we are losing out on so much of opportunities.
Yeah.
It's like though we are still in a developing country, meaning that all our business challenges are similar to someone in Grenada or Jamaica or in Barbados. So there's not change in 50 years. The condition of Black businesses have not changed. And this is the questions we have to ask the universities and the leaders. Why has this
Why is that so?
Yes. Yeah. Why? Okay. So for example, 25% of all Black businesses are in the legal accounting consultancy services. 8% of all Black businesses are in the arts and entertainment. 9% of Black businesses are in the finance, in insurance, real estate. 9% also are in the computers system, and about 10% are in the food services.
Okay.
So we know that that's a challenge. So we only involved in 26, but we major in 6. That has to change. Also, 26% of Black firms indicated that they benefited directly or indirectly from the federal Black stimulus program over the last 12 months. 14% of them indicated an increase in businesses from non-Black customers, meaning that something is going wrong, meaning that non-white, non-black customers, white people, other races are now looking into buying from or engaging in black businesses.
Okay.
We also found out that 23% indicated increased knowledge of business management skills. Okay, so they learn about how to do business management, and 34% indicated an increase in knowledge of business plan preparation. So now they know how to do business plans. 34% and an increase in knowledge in business plan. 58% of them had a better understanding of cash flow and an understanding of budgeting. 26% indicated that there is openings. 26% of black firms said that they currently have job openings. So
when did you conduct this survey? Because I want, just in terms of how current is this information?
Oh yes, as of from April 14th to end of July. So it's recent.
Very current.
Very current. That's so in my met with the Statistics Canada next Wednesday. We're also meeting with Statistics Canada so that we can discuss some of the findings, and they also can benefit from that type of information. Because as I said, every community in Canada collect data on themselves. However, we as black people, we don't collect data.
Okay.
If you want to rely on Statistics Canada, we are too small of a population.
Okay. And can I ask you, which regions you got the most responses from in terms of percentages, And as you're providing this valuable data, I'm wondering, so if anybody wanted to access the report or the information, how do you do that? Is it made public yet, or what? So I have two questions.
Yeah, well, it will be public, so we're just going around meeting, the government, the federal, Ontario, all the different provinces. We are now presenting our PowerPoint presentation to the powers that be, and then later on it will be presented more formally to the public. So in terms of population and what we did, the majority of the survey we conducted for the 1,583 persons, 403 was in the city of Toronto. We had in the city of Peel, we had 238. We also had persons from Durham, 225, Halton, 135, Niagara region, 99, York region, 139, and Ottawa, 127.
Was it only Ontario, or you did other provinces?
Southern Ontario. Now we're getting funding now. Now we're getting funded to do the national survey now. Okay. I think that hopefully the government has dedicated some funds to do this survey, because they also realize that this has not been done in 50 years, and this kind of survey should have been done 30 years ago. If this was done 30 years ago, we would not be in the situation today.
Better late than never.
Yes.
But also, anything else in terms of major findings?
Yes. Okay, good. What I want to also say is that, oh yes, good. Yes, so 39% of black firms indicated a greater success with credit unions over banks. So black people are more comfortable actually with credit unions than banks.
Susu tradition.
Could be a Susu tradition. Because so we have a propensity at least because, as I said, the credit unions are like us, the banks, the decision makers are not like us. Okay, and in we also did a study in early July. We interviewed about 1,497 businesses, non-black businesses, and we asked them, could you tell us your 3 main black suppliers? And over 92% of them could not name one.
Wow.
And
did your survey find out why that was the case, or that wasn't part of your
Well, the
purpose?
elephant is in the room. We know that because, ducks love ducks, ducks bank with ducks, ducks do business with ducks. And as I said, it's the whole issue of racism, it's the whole issue of, we believe that, if you have the challenge with small businesses, because our population is so small, what is happening is that we do business among ourselves. Remember, we are only involved from the 42 industries, the major industry sectors in Canada. We are only involved in 6, food and, entertainment, arts and craft, a bit of consultation, but only among ourselves. See? So it's very difficult for the majority of the population to do business with us. And look at us as a firm. I think we are maybe one of the number one labor market consultant firm in the country. Maybe there isn't a university that has done any studies more than us, or any university that never when they compete internationally, they have never won a labor market consultancy over us. Okay, but if we are in Canada, we cannot get a job.
Yeah.
We just can't, because obviously, hey, there's an ecosystem. They only give, as I said, and that's why, we've had the BDC, the Business Development Bank, to kind of help us, get more into the Canadian market. Mm-hmm. But, no. Because there's a structure, there's an ecosystem. Okay, but the type of survey we conduct is needed in Canada. Okay.
Yeah.
And the survey
is that, if I can observe, is that the fact that you've done this means you'll attract more work. Yeah. The reward for doing hard work and good work is more work.
Yeah. So well, that's the only advantage. But as a result of the survey, our phone has been busy.
It's really outstanding that you have positioned yourself in that way as a Black company. Yes. Or, doing this work, and in a way that you are like almost a trendsetter in that sense. You're blazing the trail that will draw others after you.
That's the only good thing about it, because as a result of the survey, I've been getting calls from everyone. They've never heard. And what has happened is that our data, our survey, our analysis was almost spot on to that of Statistics Canada. Okay, and that of other agencies. Okay, and so how come?
Those independently of them.
We did it independently. Okay, we have a specific software that we use. All our data is coded, it's barcoded, it's all tagged with both GPS.
Actually, I was coming to ask you that.
Okay.
Give us an idea of what was the database or the software or whatever you call it that was used in this case. Without divulging confidential company information, to give us an idea of what worked for you in terms of enabling you to conduct this thing so successfully.
Very good. So the survey, the type of software used was World Bank Service solution. It was developed by the United Nations, the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. So we're talking about real high class, multi-million-dollar survey. This is not no survey monkey, okay? It's real.
It's called state of the art.
State of the art, standard survey, okay? Okay, all our surveys are barcoded. All our surveys has GPS tags on them. And so when you open the survey, we can also get your postal code. So that's why we can get where people live, what the businesses are. And that's why our surveys are so precise.
Okay.
And so the survey was developed by the World Bank for a specific purpose, for really more or less conducting census. And we kind of tweaked it a bit and use it to conduct these labor market needs assessments.
Yes. Actually, you remind me.
Yes.
Certainly not of the scale and scope. Definitely not of the scale and scope. But in 2004, I remember something from Grenada.
Yes.
That the Industrial Development Corporation, more commonly known as the IDC, I'm sure you're familiar with them.
Yes.
They're based in the industrial park, had asked the Foreign Advisory Services of the World Bank to conduct diagnostic of the investment climate in Grenada.
Yes.
And the company that won the bid was called Ecoris. They're based in Holland.
Yes.
That would be an interesting resource to be aware. ECORYS, based in Holland. And they recruited me as a local consultant to actually conduct the survey on the ground in Grenada.
Right, yes.
200 companies.
Yes.
And the World Bank used a standard questionnaire and system that they use globally because they wanted to compare the parameters.
Right.
And interestingly, the top obstacle to investment in Grenada was cost of financing.
Yes.
So many of the companies were saying the amount of collateral or the cost of collateral you had to get in order to get access a loan home in Grenada was so high. So you probably end up whatever amount of land you had despite the value of the loan. And it was a major obstacle, you know? But again, related to financing. So it just brought that back. And there were other issues, but that was the main one.
And that is you're correct. And that is what we were seeing, that the challenges that Black businesses face in Canada are almost the same challenges that Black businesses face everywhere in other developing countries. So, I mean, we are living in a developed country. We should do better as Black people, but we're not. Our conditions are the same.
But that takes me naturally to the issue of, well, unless you have other key findings, it takes me almost naturally to what recommendations are emerging out of these findings, but you may have other key ones.
So maybe what I can do though is we have some of the other recommendations that we So for example, I just wanted to kind of just go over them quickly.
I don't want to interrupt your thought. You're trying to
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, I'm okay. This is a subject that I can speak about this 24 hours a day. Okay?
I can feel your passion.
There is no one in Canada who has the kind of experience like I have. No one. Okay, there's nobody who has. Okay. So, for example, and again, as I said, we have done this in 160 studies, similar studies, 40 countries. So we have made so many mistakes, and that's the reason why we are so good at it, because we made lots and lots of mistakes. Yeah. Okay, what also happens is that, so 37% of Black firms indicated that they need graphic designers. So they don't have that in, 32% of Black firms indicated the need for IT and website development. So these are some of the areas of growth within the Black community. 42% need an accountant or financial advisors. Okay, so remember that most of the Black firms are nano firms. They do everything themselves. So I say, 61% needed assistance how to fill out financial documents when applying for a loan. So what happened is that the challenges in conducting a loan. I'll give you the story. The government, we were applying for a good loan. I guess $5 point something million. Okay. And I mean, I have a PhD. I could not fill out the form. The form was so difficult, 50-something pages. Listen, the forms are so technical, and what makes it worse, but you have to write in 3,500 characters. So I mean, could you imagine? I had to hire a consultant to fill that out for me. Which Black firm can fill out? So that is the challenge we face. So 61% of them said that they needed assistance in filling out documents when applying for a loan. 76% of Black businesses indicated that they need assistance writing proposal and bidding for contracts. So there are huge opportunities that are untapped. 39% of Black businesses in Ontario have not completed the 2021 tax. Okay, so that's where there's a huge opportunity for consultants like us, to work with these Black firms. And what make it was 78% of Black businesses, Black owners did not have resources to hire qualified management professionals to run the business. So, you are muted.
I was timid about launching my own nano business 2 years ago, but now I'm encouraged by what you're saying, because I happen to be very good at writing proposals. Not all proposals, but I learned and sharpened that, hone that skill. So I am encouraged, Dr. Pei. I'm very encouraged.
That's good. Maybe
so
you should.
That is an example of how your work is important, because now people in the market can have a sense of where the needs are and target their
exactly. And that is why a labor market in needs assessment is so important. We're just scratching the surface, okay? Because when we do, because I met with some of the territories in Nova Scotia and Alberta, some of these other who want to engage us.
Yes.
But you see, and that is what this should have been done 30 years ago. When we came up in the 80s, early 80s in Canada, this should have been done.
Yeah.
Not now.
Agreed.
But it puzzles me why in 50 years, 40 years, this has not been done. And if the ACBN did not do it, nobody would have done it. No one saw. People train in all this training program, but to what end? You need this labor market needs assessment. So what will happen is that you will train people, you train them to write very good resumes, and at the end of the day, they cannot get a job.
Yeah.
You train them for things that are not in demand.
Yes.
And that is what you need based on not my work.
Mismatch. And the same
That's
thing in
a mismatch.
developing countries.
Right.
Forever you hear Grenada talking about the education system, and what the private sector needs is a mismatch. And in the education system, people are not trained how to run businesses.
Exactly.
Right? Or in a limited way. So there is such a disconnect between the need and what people are prepared for. And then we wonder why so many people are by the side of the road.
Right. And that's a very good question. And that is why, as I said, it behooves me. Said, how come that this has not been done in 50 years in Canada? How could no one has ever come, any politician, anyone has never come up and doing the labor market what is needed? So and that's why we have to commend the ACBN for first coming up with the idea. Okay. We also want to say that 89% of all Black businesses do not have a financial advisor or management consultant to run the business. Okay, we do it by ourselves. We wing it. That's why we fail so much.
We wing it.
We wing it. We just pray and hope. Okay, 33% of Black businesses do not have business plans, and that's good opportunities again. 41% of Black businesses were experiencing financial challenges as the end of June 1st, 2022. Okay, so that is why it is needed. Okay, Black women also in the workplace are more educated than Black men. 4.2% of male employees indicate that high school was the highest level of formal education. Okay, so there's a lot of there are lots of opportunities. There are lots of opportunities, but there are also challenges.
Yeah,
and we have to mix them and in order for them to be better. Okay, 3.4% of male workers indicated that they had a master's degree. Okay, so women in the workplace have more education than men. Mm-hmm. Women in Canada, especially Black women, has one of the highest manager to population ratio.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems that your work was pretty comprehensive for you to have gleaned all of that information. The questions that you asked and information, the data you collected was pretty comprehensive. So tell us about the recommendations. I don't know if Jem has anybody online who is asking questions or who wants their questions shared. But I know there's, for example, there's one on human trafficking that we want to come to as the time races on. But Tell us a bit about your recommendations or the recommendations of the study based on your findings.
Okay, then. Well, some of the, okay. Okay, so what we I just want to, okay, some of the recommendations, okay. First of all, we need to have what is called, we need to have we believe that Black data is for Black people. We need to have a comprehensive database for Black people. You see, just as the Filipinos in Canada know where every Filipino is, just as the South Koreans know and they all have a community, we should have something like that, okay? We need to have our Black education system in Canada. This is very, very crucial. Also, the basic pillars of any community, a school, community, a hospital, supermarket. We need to have that. Where could I tell my children or your children which is the best place for Black people to live? We don't have that. We are dispersed in 200. We have 207 ethnic groups in Canada. Each of them want to be identified. Each of them want to be separate. So there are too many of us. We went to a symposium called the Black Leadership Summit in Nova Scotia in July, and one of the guys from the national, from the the Export Development Corporation said about 75 Black firms coming to them. It's just too many. We're too many. We need to unite as under one umbrella. And my recommendations, okay, is that there's an organization called FACE. So let this FACE company be the main representative of Black people in Canada.
Okay.
Okay. We need to have a Black census. A Black census is even more critical in Canada. We need to have a Black education system, a Black census, a Black standards association. So we need to have standards, meaning that we, in the survey, 49% of Black job seekers did not want to work for a Black firm.
49%.
Yes, because of the reputation. They bounce the check. They're not professionals. They're not pay on time. All the customer service issues. So we as a community, we also need to step up. We also need to do better as business people, because remember, we are still existing as though we are in a developing country. Yeah. And that's the misnomer. We know Canada is a developed country, but we operated in Canada as though we are back in Grenada or back in Jamaica or back in wherever we are. And that has to change. We have to need a new mindset. Okay. We also need to treat Black people living in Canada as though they are from a separate country. Okay, meaning that from a business perspective. So we have to take these businesses and help them grow and have a process in developing these businesses from a nano to a micro, from a micro to a small, from a small to a medium, from a medium to a large. So Black businesses need help, need consultancy. And so we took the idea, we hired the Business Development Bank Consultancy Services to teach us how to run the business. And within the 2 years, our sales have doubled. It works for everybody. It's just that it's expensive. Okay, so you need the experts, and especially navigating in the Canadian landscape. Yeah, it is difficult because as a Black business, no white business want to work with you, because they see you as Black. We're 3%ers. Okay. And it's very challenging. But however, with the help of other organizations, it can take you up to that specific level.
Yeah. So you mean if there are Black organizations providing that kind of support services for Black businesses, they're likely to be able to progress.
Yes. You need Black people, Black businesses. I'm not saying all, of course. They need help They need mentoring.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the challenge we face. They need mentoring. So that we need to mentor these Black businesses, take them by the hand. Another recommendation is that there is an urgent need for a national Black labor market needs assessment. Before you do anything else, before you trade, before you do anything else, you need to have, because what are you trading for? You do not know what you're trading for. You're trading based on just opinions you have. It's not based on, it's not scientific or some crude survey that you may do.
Gotcha.
So this is what. So we also need what is called the new definition of what is called a Black business in Canada. That has to define. There's this whole issue of misrepresentation. So that has to be defined. We also need to have more reliance on what is called the IC codes rather than the NACI codes. Okay, and these are how you code businesses. So you have like so the NACI codes is the North America Industrial Classification Services. That's how you code businesses, and they also have the ILO uses the IC codes. Okay, and a Black data, you need to have what is called a Black data information portal. You need to collect data on Black people. As of today, there are over 72 organizations collecting data on Black people, and 90-something% of them are non-Black.
Okay.
So we as an organization, we willingly give all our information to persons who use our information against us, who has a history of using our information against us.
Yeah. No, I could speak. I see Genesis Magazine needing coaching and mentoring. My business needs coaching and mentoring. I have received some already, but it could be a lot more. So I definitely, that resonates very strongly. But I know I'm trying to figure out with Genesis, with John, about the issue of how we balance the time, because the issue of human trafficking in Grenada and the wider Caribbean, of course, is a major issue of concern. Can we shift a little to that? And then if we have time, go back, or what's your preference?
Okay. But I mean, the human trafficking is an area that I'm very familiar with. As I said, that our firm conducted one of the largest, data set of human trafficking in the Caribbean. Okay, we conducted the whole project for the CARICOM 2019 survey in the 16 countries, and also we wrote the human trafficking legislation in collaboration with Dr. Jason Haynes. We also, in 2020, we also went in Venezuela and conducted the 6 months assignment called the impact of trafficking from Venezuela to the northern on its northern Caribbean neighbors. So we have the data. Human trafficking is prevalent in the Caribbean. It's prevalent in most countries, and Grenada is no exception, of course. I would just only speak on general terms, but it's a serious problem that we as citizens must deal with, and it's getting worse and worse because because of the availability of women at our disposal. Okay, because the situation in Venezuela has increased, and so women are easier to get, and people see women as what is called as entertainment. Yes, entertainment. Yes, and that's some of the other challenges we have here.
Wow. It's almost breathtaking, and not in a good way, because you would have thought that if the situation was improving, given where the world is at now.
Yes.
That is so submerged deep that it will take a lot of unearthing to be able to address the issue, you know. Are there any other specific things that you think it would be useful for our audience to know based on the work that you've done? Anything else you want to highlight?
Yes. Well, as I said, that what we have to, well, in terms of the whole issue of well, in terms of human trafficking, is that, well, people have to be aware of, you see, for example, most human traffickers, maybe over 70% of them, have no criminal record.
Sure.
So you do not know who is
they
you
don't
do
come
not
and
know who is who. No.
They don't come and, so then what do you look out for? What are reliable signs that people can
Yes.
look at, that John public can look out for to help identify this phenomena? Or
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so, well, for example, there are many signs. So, for example, what we have done over a year ago, I did a presentation to the U.S. the U.S. State Department and the government and some of the all of the international security bodies within the region on the whole issue of, in April this year, the whole issue of human trafficking. And then I met with some of the authorities at the U.S. State Department. And what we did for them was that we laid down what are some of the markers we should look for. Okay, some of the markers. I just want to 1 second.
mm-hmm.
I just want to look for it. Okay, I just want to, yeah. So and what we found out is that in terms of what is called what is called predators. Okay, so that we have defined in our research. Where I'm also a member of an organization called the Association of Human Trafficking Scholars. So every month we meet, and what we found also was that in the Caribbean we have defined predators, men who prey on young women, in 3 categories. So you have what is called, we normally know someone as a pedophilia. Okay, someone who preys on children under 13 years old.
Yes.
So someone who preys on children, you have the normal concept of they call them AR. Yes. So then you have what is called a category called a hemophilias. Okay, these persons prey on women 13 to 15, 16. The guys maybe bus drivers, conductors, etc. Local persons. So they prey on women. And then you also have another category called ehemophilias, who prey on girls between 16 and 19 years.
What's the last category?
Is an ehemophilias. Okay. So we have, because we collected some data. We analyzed when we did one of the studies. We analyzed about 98 million cases of arrest and investigation in the Latin American and Caribbean. And what we were able to find out was that we group sexual predators into certain categories. However, I am looking at it now. If we can get a 1 second.
Wow.
1 second. So if we can get it will be, the report will be published, I think that at the end of the year, okay? And it went into details, very, very, careful details of how these predators, who are the predators, the profile of the predators. Because what we want to do as scientists is to predict. Our main goal is to try to predict.
Yes.
Okay, or establish a profile of a human trafficker. Okay, who is the human trafficker? Because it's not known.
You don't know what you're looking for.
You do not know what what you're looking for. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you do not know. Right. So that's the reason why we are trying now to more or less predict who are these traffickers. Okay, who are these traffickers? And this is what. Okay, and this is what is so it is. That's what our goal is to do, and what we as researchers, what we're trying to do is to help them, is to help the authorities in trying to identify. So we know, for example, people who prey on women come into the region either around either a Thursday or Friday. They stay about 3 to 4 days in the country. They leave either a Sunday or a Monday. Okay, things like that. Okay, where they go, because what we have done is that we have interviewed them, and you remember that in certain countries, in certain countries in the region, you can literally, okay, buy a virgin.
In our Caribbean region?
In the Caribbean region, yes. You can buy a virgin. It is a transaction. It is a transaction, and that's the challenges. That's one of the challenges we face.
But what is the incidence rate? How does the incidence rate in the Caribbean compared to like other parts of the world?
Oh,
not that it matters, because anywhere it happens is not good, but just to get an idea.
Oh, in the Caribbean, we're high, because remember that the highest incidence of rape in the world is concentrated in the Caribbean. Because remember that the Caribbean has 8% of the world's population and 33% of all crime.
Wow.
So we have 8% of the world's population and 33% of all crime. Okay? In fact, in the top 31 countries with the highest incidence of rape, 15 of those countries are in the Caribbean and Latin America. Remember, until a few years ago, the largest brothel in the world was in the Caribbean. So despite the tourism and, I mean, come on, what people come, I'm not saying everybody does it, but you kind of know what.
Are there identifiable factors or reasons why, based on the research or the studies, that makes us so susceptible to this?
Well, for example, yeah, that's a very good question. I could only posit an idea. So what we found out from our research is that, because remember, we are a colonial people. You remember that we were colonized by one of the most how do I put it lightly? We were colonized by the most violent colonizer, which is England. So England, colonizers, they raped us. They pillage everyone that, so we were colonized by England, and I mean, the rape of our family and everything. So this whole idea of violence among women all came down from this whole history of colonial and British rule. Okay, so that is, I mean, so
it
that
becomes
is
almost normalized.
Normalized, almost normalized within the British system, because everywhere the British went, they left this area, the trail of violence, especially against women. So
is that the same in England? Do
well,
you have the same tradition of violence against women within the home country?
No, not necessarily.
So it's more in the colonies.
In the colonies, yes.
Okay.
Remember, in the colonies, because you are just property, they can do anything they want with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, and that is what, because sex and violence against women is viewed as a form of entertainment. Okay, it's a form of entertainment. It's just, okay.
Yes.
We also found out that what fuels human trafficking in the Caribbean also is the whole issue of organized crime, because organized crime in the Caribbean and Latin America, when I use the Caribbean, I am meeting the LSE region.
Entire, yes.
Yeah, yes. Right, correct, okay. So for example, you have what is called drug trafficking, okay? So drug trafficking, you have what is called firearms trafficking, you have what is called human trafficking. So there are 13 spin-off crimes. You have what is called pornography, but more specific, Val, you have what is called child pornography. In some of our interviews, we see men with brochures, and they come on a Thursday, leave on a Friday, but what they want are young girls who, the whole issue with the whole pubic hair. Okay, so men have these, imagination about little children with pubic hair. We have also what is called contraband, especially in the petrol. There's a huge, it's like a war zone, because remember that we have what is called bartering. We have kidnapping in the Caribbean. We have extortion, money laundering, corruption. They have a big growing business, or one of the fastest growing business in the region. It's called murder for hire. And another one is called smuggling of migrants. So it is something that, so the Caribbean, you remember that the Caribbean, we have 58% of the world's population and 23% of all crime. So we are not immune to this area. This area has been an area of violence historically, started by when we as citizens were human trafficked into the Caribbean by the British and the Spaniards. Okay, wow. So that's basically what it is, and what we have to now do as people who are educated and into research. We also have to look at one of the reasons why the crime in the Caribbean is escalated is because we have one of the lowest apprehension rate in the world. So you could guarantee that when you commit a crime, okay, you will never get caught. In fact, our apprehension rate is 2.97%.
Wow.
So hey, you have this. I guess this joke in Canada. You ever heard this joke in Canada? If you want to. If your wife wants, I guess this joke. I mean, it's not appropriate, but maybe I should say.
No. Oh, okay.
If your wife wants a divorce, you take her to Trinidad or Jamaica for a vacation. Okay. It's a joke, okay, but yeah, I guess
I understand. In the context of what
in the context of this whole issue of violence.
So maybe I could ask you then, what's your next big project? Just to get a sense of your direction, where you heading?
well, our next project, we have our forum as a result of the labor market needs assessment. We have we're forming an alliance with the FACE organizations and the University of Alberta and some of the other large organizations to conduct a series of studies on Black businesses and Black people in Canada.
And the University of?
I think it's Alberta, I think,
Okay.
to conduct, and in a couple of the other universities, because as I said, we are doing this thing. We're doing this thing for years. Okay, it's not. We build indicators. Okay, so there are about 30. There are 17 indicators. ILO has indicators. We can build indicators for you. So if you need any specific type of indicator, we can build an indicator for you. So you can market it and test it and whatever you want. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes us as a research firm a little different to most other research firms.
Okay. So wonderful. I want to invite John or anybody from Genesis who is on. I know everybody is on, following, or if to have the opportunity for anybody who's online who wants to ask a question before we ask Dr. Pear to make some closing remarks based on everything that has emerged in this conversation tonight. John, if you have any questions or anything specifically you would like us to address, can you just put it in the chat? I don't know if I didn't want to put on. I can access online. Hold a sec for me, please, if you don't mind, Dr. Pear, because I was trying to access what's happening online for a bit, but I couldn't turn it off so as not to disturb our program, because it was I couldn't find where to let me just check to make sure we don't have any unanswered questions online, because you're able to hear, you see,
different to most other research groups.
So wonderful. I want to invite John or anybody from Genesis who is on, and everybody. Let me just go through a comment that I'm finding here. You may want to start with Interpol. As quietly as it is, some countries are using facial recognition technology to stop these predators at the border. John, if you have any questions or anything specifically you would like us to address, can you just put it in the chat? I don't know if I didn't want to put on. I can access online. Hold a sec for me, please, if you don't mind. Yeah, I'm trying to turn it off so we're not muffled, but I'm not able to do that. So, but somebody made a comment about your forecast for the Grenada election. I don't know if you want to. There's the only other one that was not addressed. If you want to,
okay.
There John is. So
well, I would say something. Okay.
Comment on that, and then your closing comments.
Thank you. So, yes. So our firm, we were hired by a client to conduct a research on the Grenada. Well, more or less politics in Grenada. The whole. The firm that wanted to invest in Grenada, and they wanted to know what the landscape was. And so we conducted this labor market, this research into Canada, into Grenada. And as our firm, we have, as I said, we have one of the largest, maybe the largest databases in Grenada. We have access to the yellow pages and the white pages. So if you if your name is in the yellow pages or white pages, we may have access to you. If you vote or you have voted in the last election, we should have data for you, because we were able to get some of the voter registration information, assess it, we put it in the system, and with the help of our friends at Google, Google Earth, so you can identify persons, and social media. So we were able to. We conducted the survey and the research in Grenada, and we felt that that there would be a wind of change in the country. So we made our views known to many persons, and we were laughed at and scorned at. I said, "You gotta be crazy! Not in 1,000 years, okay? This can never happen, I said that, remember that our firm is the largest research firm. We have data better, we have a lot of data. We can do, I'm telling you that.
Dr. Pear, what are some of the things that jumped out of you when you were doing? Now it's after the fact. So What are some of the things that jumped out of you during in that survey to enable you to arrive at those conclusions or predictions?
Well, for example, what we did, we broke up the population into the constituencies of 15. Then we broke it further, divided it up into the polling divisions. So we divided the country into 96. Okay, we now started to monitor the social media in 96. So an average of about 984 persons, 342 homes. We're able to monitor that, okay, for over a period of time to see the trend. You know, how much what you like, how long you stayed on the like, how much you like the NDC videos and the NNP videos, what the percentage of persons who reshared and shared and how long. So all of that type of analysis, you know, artificial intelligence, we're able to make a decision. But the critical aspect of it, when we went on the ground from the 20th to the 28th of May, and we conducted some of these series of focus group, we got a better understanding that people made a choice. The choice had to do with this whole issue of pensions. The population were not convinced, actually, that Dr. Keith Mitchell would have paid the pension. Even his supporters, 32% of his supporters were not convinced that he would have paid the pension. But so obviously they would not vote him. You're an NNP, yes, but you must eat first. You're an NNP, but your mother was owed, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of pension. You're an NNP, so they decided, hey, you see, I'm an NNP, I love my NNP, but I cannot vote for Dr. Keith Mitchell at this time. And you hear constantly, you give the young man a chance, okay? Give the young man a chance. And everybody said, give the young man a chance. And we saw that. Also, Dr. Prime Minister Deacon now was more believable than Dr. Mitchell. People believed him. People saw the sincerity in his voice. Okay. And in terms of leadership, the whole characteristics of when we compared the leadership. So there were 18 from the survey. We found out that there were 18 characteristics of a leader, what a leader in Grenada should look like, should be. And Dr. Keith Mitchell and Prime Minister Deacon had these qualities, being able to speak. So let
me ask you though, just let's take a pin. You asked them what those characteristics were, or
the population,
you
yes.
So you got it from the population.
Well, from the population, yes. Because we surveyed, so we from the population. What are the characteristics of a leader? And the population gave us what characteristics. So we brought it down, narrowed down into the top 8, and we polled people based on that. Okay, eloquence. Okay, which one you eloquent? Okay, obviously, I mean, you cannot compare the Deacon Mitchell with Dr. Keith Mitchell. The Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is a much more eloquent speaker than Dr. Mitchell, of course. I mean, hands down. Wow. Okay, in terms of his ability to engage in people, Deacon Mitchell also engage more with the persons. His ability to tell the truth, okay? Because we had artificial intelligence that can, detect the whole issue of micro expressions. So we looked at the micro expressions from all of the political leaders. But so we found that. We also found that there were we were able to tabulate the number of hours of NDC videos and social media feed. Okay, there were over 200 and something hours of media feed compared to 119 hours for the NNP. So it was like a whitewash. about 200 something hours of 119 hours. Okay, so there was like
for the NNP.
Yes, so hands down, the social media effect of the NDC was way over that of the NNP. So what we did, we looked at every minister's Facebook page. Okay, we wrote a program to look at, and some of these ministers' Facebook page was not even updated in 2-3 years. Okay, and they're running for elections. I mean, they had no. I mean, I don't know who were their managers. I don't know who advised them. So it was just, and as I said, based on the micro expressions of Prime Minister Dakin versus ex-Prime Minister Keith Mitchell. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, he was more believable. You see, from the micro expression when he speaks, okay, you see the confidence in the sincerity in him. There are certain filler words that he uses. You know, it was just, I mean, and again, you know,
so what was your forecast again?
We focused that we focused that we believe. Well, our prediction was that the NNP NDC would have got 9 seats, NDC 6. We also predicted which constituency they will win and how much they will win back.
Are you serious?
But it's artificial intelligence, okay? I mean, we have never been wrong in that. We've never been wrong.
Wow, absolutely.
A lot of organizations, a lot of countries and stuff, politicians, political party, you know, yeah. Entertain us, because it's a new type of survey. It's not like a poll or, you know, whatever, you know, you call people. No, it's not. It's more than that. It's a poll. You know, we go on the ground, artificial intelligence. We get access to the voters registration list. Mm-hmm. Okay, which is and the voters registration list is a treasure trove, because imagine that it has the name and address of everybody in Grenada.
Yes.
So you write a program, you get everybody in Grenada, everybody has a phone, you access that, everybody has social media. It's just easy. It's just like
also ask you, have you done a review of the data post-election to see how it matched up against what you had assessed or forecasted before? You haven't done that yet?
Well, no, we have not done that as yet. And I mean, and you know, as I said, you know, there's a lot of opportunities in the region, but we have not, you know, we have been very busy on the Canadian front. But you know, in what we know, that, for example, we know that that there are more. There are more NNP supporters that there are NDC supporters. So we have a base of about 30,000 NNP supporters. So on any given election, if the NNP come out to vote, they will win the election.
Generally, just as
generally, yes.
Right. So in terms of the NNP, it's about 30,000, and the NDC is about how much?
About 23,000, okay?
Yes.
So that's a general base.
Does that suggest that there was a shift of NNP people who on the borderline, on the fringes, who voted NDC, or there was a totally different pool?
Right. Actually, we conducted a survey in July, because we on 1,765 respondents in Grenada, and because we want to know who would be the next leader, okay? Who would be the next leader? So we want to be able to predict scientifically who should be the next leader. And there were a few suggestions, okay? You know, obviously the name Emmeline Pierre came up, of course. The name Peter David came up. Okay, Akima Paul Lambert came up, you know, other persons came up, you know, these are some of them, the major ones, okay? If I had to advise Dr. Keith Mitchell, okay, that he should not run again. In fact, we advise actually that he should not run again. If he had continued, if he said, hey, I am not running, maybe we would have been in a different position.
Wow.
Either if he had put, let's say, Emlyn Pear or Peter David or whatever combination or whatever to run, we'll have a totally different idea.
Okay.
Because he did that. It was more negative. Okay. It was more more
let
negative.
me also ask you then. Have you considered or even investigated what factors have given the NNP that advantage in terms of the number of, like, if you could call them, not diehard, but supporters in the country? I don't know if it was ever part of your analysis, because you have pointed out that in the case of NNP, just when you take a picture of Grenada, there are about 30,000 NNP supporters versus 22,000 NDC supporters, say on average, normally. So if you were to, I don't know whether you did an analysis or you, from your own knowledge or information, you want to hazard a guess, what are the factors that are responsible for that difference? Okay, good. A very, very good question. So from our scientific interpretation, there is a legacy in Grenada. Okay, one of the challenges we have about 26% of the population, they do not vote. So we have what is called people. Sorry, what percent? About 26% of the population, they do not vote. Okay. So based on religious grounds, okay, so most of them do not vote. So you have people vote against based on party lines. Okay. Okay, and so for example, I always give my story, where my mother was what you call in those days, Gary Wright. Okay. Yeah. And my mother then in 92, I think my mother called me. She said that she's voting for the NNP, like Dr. Keith Mitchell. So I said, "Mommy, why are you voting?" He said, "Well, Justin, it was raining in the day that day. Dr. Keith Mitchell came to her and asked her for his vote. For her vote. For her vote. She said, Justin, it was in the rain. He came in the rain. He asked me for some water. You see mud in his shoes. I felt so sorry for him. I voted for him." So we have a history of voting according to our emotions. And if we vote one way, we'll continue to vote. Our mother vote one way, or father, etc. And historically, the Grenada United Labour Party has a legacy. Most of these voters went from the GULP into the NNP, and some of them are still there. Let me share with you. Share with you an observation that was made by a political stalwart in Grenada, name shall not be mentioned. The person pointed out to me, Val, of the 6 seats that NNP won in this election, 5 of them were traditionally Gary strongholds. Yes. So it kind of connects with what you are saying. 5 of those 6 seats were Gary strongholds. And when I looked at it and counted, in fact, there were there were areas or constituencies where you had a strong estate history. Yes. So if you look at Dr. Keith Mitchell's own constituency, you had the Beauchejou estate and all the other estates around it. Dr. Clarice Modestis' constituency in St. Mark's, again, you had all these big estates. St. Andrews Southeast with Emlyn Pear, not as much. That's the only one maybe, but you had a lot of people migrating from the rural areas to live in Telescope. Then you have Paradise. I don't know if Paradise is part of her. Then St. Andrews Northeast, the River and Twine estate, etc., etc. And St. Andrews Northwest, you also have Mount Horn and all these Balthazar and all these areas. And I mean, it didn't occur to me at all until the person made that observation. The only one that didn't meet that criteria, follow that pattern, was the Tongue of St. George's.
Right. And the Tongue of St. George's is because of Peter David. Peter David is a machine. Okay.
Right.
As I said that if anyone should lead a party, is either Emlyn Pear or Peter David. Okay.
Right.
Because you see because we use, for example, artificial intelligence. We have to start using the whole issue of artificial intelligence to start making decisions. We have to use that. And in our case, so what we have downloaded, all the elections in Grenada since 1976. So from Blanche Thomas and hosted in 76, all that data. So what we're able to write programs to create machine learning, to make predictions. And for example, in my opinion, that's my opinion, of course, the critical area, the most critical election seats in the June 2020 election was the parish of St. Andrews. So the parish of St. Patrick, sorry. Two of those seats went to the NDC. And this was the most interesting and most creative piece of marketing and campaigning I have ever seen in a election history. Mm-hmm. So the persons who managed that campaign on behalf of the NDC, mm-hmm. these persons should be knighted, because two of the seats went down. Okay, and like very slim margin, but when we were able to look for over a period of months how the change looked at, how the onslaught on ex-police officers who were traditionally NNP supporters, how you convert them, it is amazing. A book should be just written on just St. Patrick's election. And this guy, both Adam Andel and his and the Minister of Foreign Affairs now, Joseph Andel, they were the ones who really brought in the election. Yes,
so Dr. Clair, I can't leave this conversation without saying you didn't make your competition very happy at all. I noticed John inserted that comment. You did not make you made your competition very unhappy.
Well, which one?
Shall I not call names, sir?
Well, you should call name, maybe. Tell me who.
I'll tell you privately.
Okay, you mean when we had the interview on the Bob Show?
On the what?
On the Bob Show? Was it that?
No, I don't know who was on the Bob Show, but I'll tell you who it is privately. Yeah. No worry.
What we Because what we have, for example, is state-of-the-art technology. Okay,
you showed up the competition.
Yes. So it's not like just having speaking to 1,500 people and getting a poll. We don't do that anymore. Okay, it's science. Okay, we do our survey with artificial intelligence. Okay, we write programs. We look at people's internet profile, the social media profile, how they vote, how they share, what they like, how long they stay watching Deacon video, how many times they look at it. I mean, it's science now.
Clearly. So we have 4 minutes left to wrap up. I'd like to invite you to make some closing comments, and you can stay online after Gem FM ends the live streaming.
Yes.
So I'll give you 3 and I'll have the last one. Final comments, Steve.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Gem FM for allowing me to give my presentation tonight. As I said, even though we have over the past couple of months, we have just been inundated with opportunities because of the survey we want, but I have a lot of respect and homage to Gem FM, because without Gem FM, hey, maybe I might not be here, because they were the only, when they were the only organization they were the first organization to give us a television opportunity. Okay, yes. And we need to commend them for that. And even though, as I said, we went to Grenada, nobody, okay, paid us any mind, paid us any attention. But what we do as an organization, we use a lot of the whole science of it, the whole artificial intelligence, machine learning, okay, to make predictions. And I just want to say that we're thankful to God, thankful to our society, also thankful to the Business Development Bank, who has been there with us, who has been come out, be there and support us financially, because without them we would not have been where we are today. And all the other organizations, Black organizations in Canada, who support us. We also want to thank other agencies like FACE, the ACBN, the Bank of Montreal, all other these companies, the EDC, for the support, okay? Because as I said, even though we are Black, okay, that doesn't mean that we cannot do the job. And I just want to thank you very much for being here and giving me the support for this 2 hours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pierre. We have to say we are honored to have you. We feel proud that you're Grenadian. You know how we say home, you raise our nose.
Oh, it's
we say that home. And I mean, I was saying to somebody, a friend of mine earlier in the day, I mean, John exemplifies perseverance. He just put his head down and he continues, and it would be quite an example for us in Black business. And so no matter what it is, he just, steadies himself and perseveres. And I really have to commend him when I see the growth of Gem FM. I'm, proud to and happy to be able to be part of this whole institution, and I see it going places. And he also has such good insights, the way he would have supported you, seen it fit to support you at a time when nobody else was probably
no one else.
It. He has great insight with such humility, you could almost take him for granted.
Right. I always tell people that even here in Canada, we would sit with the World Bank, we would sit with the U.S. State Department, we sit with them, and they will listen to us. But we cannot get Black people to listen to us. They're too busy. Okay. But I believe that if you go, if you're very good, doesn't matter who you have your day in the.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and have a blessed night to all our listeners out there. If you have any questions later, please feel free to raise them in Gem FM on Facebook. And to John and his whole team, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to present this. I'm not sure how John will handle the live streaming, because Dr. Pierre and I want to have a quick conversation afterwards.
You can call me on my WhatsApp.
Oh, yes, I can call you. That's fine. I can call you. All right, John.
Yeah,
your voice gets better soon.
Okay, I don't know how much you could hear me there, but it's really bad still. Dr. Pierre, I want to put my mic inside here so you can hear me. I want to thank you too, because it gives a lot of mileage for Gem FM. Because of you, I get to know that many other different universities are listening to Gem FM as well. Your survey with human trafficking had created a lot of awareness among a lot of folks when we first heard your story on human trafficking in the Caribbean. A lot of people didn't know about it, didn't believe it was happening. As a matter of fact, when we were doing the show on human trafficking, we wasn't aware that you was doing that. I actually stumbled upon that and the human trafficking. I decided to do a story on it. And you called in the night and you told me what you was doing. And you said that you went to the media houses in Grenada and the government and they didn't believe you. When I said, can you come on next week, Friday night? And you said, sure. And so every time you have a new survey out, a new work done, you bring to Gem FM first to make it public. And we want to thank you for that. The election result was predicted first on Gem FM.
Yes. I remember that.
The week before, we said exactly who's going to win, where they're going to win, and by how much points they're going to win by, right here on Gem FM. So we are leaders. Like I said before, we're not building a foreign, we're building a skyscraper, and we're not going to rush into building this business. We're going to really take our time and build it right, with the right people around us to help us to become better every day. I told my daughter, you see, one of the things about when you're doing business and your wife is involved and your daughter is involved in it, the children want to see what you're doing. And they just said, my daughter changed her course and I'm pursuing radio broadcasting just to accommodate and to run this operation. My wife is home and she runs all the shows. I call her this evening and I say, look, I want to make it one time. You take over for me. And then Val said something earlier on, and it touched me here because I just called Val like almost 10 minutes before, 10, 15 minutes before the show. I said, Val, I cannot talk much. My voice is gone and I need you to host the show for me tonight. And I said, yes, more time ago. I said 8:30. It was just about 10 past 8. And she said, okay, I'll do it. And that's to me speaks volume. I mean, our past has conditioned us for the present. We had worked long hours during the revolution time, and time didn't matter to us. We did what we had to do and get it done. The people that we serve we were servant to them, and we did it from the heart. And that kind of resonated with me up to today. There is Val made a comment about somebody she spoke to about the way and who win the election, what they win. I had that same conversation with somebody who ran the town of St. George's in that same era and had told me recently about the same thing, why NDC would lose the 6 seats and where they will lose it too. And he knows exactly what you know about that area. So we want to do what we do here best, not to compete with nobody, but to be better than what we was yesterday. And we're trying to strive to be better than ourselves, not to be better than anybody else. And that's the message I want to tell the people. Never try to compete with nobody. Compete with yourself. Be better than who you was yesterday, and you'll be in the right space. Yes. So I want to thank Val for coming up tonight and leading the field for me tonight. And I can I have some work to do for her too. And she's been saying, I've been going to work. I've been doing a lot of stuff for a lot of different people and myself, for the last week. And my voice that's kind of break me down a little bit. So I've been burning the candles on both and trying to do everything for everybody. But it pays off still because at the end of the day, people get the message and they turn out to do a lot of stuff. So I'm happy with the result I'm seeing. It's not fast, it's slow but sure, and I just want to thank all the people who are listening and those who are making the necessary support in terms of writing in and telling me how good we are doing. And continue to share Gem FM, share the live, and let people know that this Gem FM, Genesis Magazine is here to stay, and it's for everybody, not for some people, for everybody.
Thank you, John. Absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you very much. As I said, thank you very much, John. I don't know what to say. You're like a great mentor to me. I always mention your name. And I just, we have to work on a strategy, maybe of self, maybe, and the company in moving forward, because I think that we need the support. We need persons like yourself in the community. We need to support you. Okay, there are over 100 think tanks in Canada, white think tanks, not one black think tank. Okay, So we have to do something. We have to make sure that we join forces. There are very few, so we can do better. And I want to thank you very much for being there. Okay, as one of the premier radio show who first identified us and first gave us the support to be where we are today.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Well, whenever you're ready again, I'm here. Just give me a phone call and we'll get ready. Text me whatever you want to do.
Yes,
and I'll make it time for you. And have you here anytime you're ready, man.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Okay. So, thank you very much.
God bless.
All right. Thank you.
All right. One love. Okay, folks, again, this is Gem FM. I'm your host, Sheriff. I want to thank Val for being here with us. And as you may know, that my voice is not the best. I'm just trying to amplify it to make it sound a little better than it was. So again, thank you, guys. And well, we come to the end of this show. And I want to thank you and all of you listening tonight to Gem FM. All right. All right. Val has left the building. I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. But before I do that, I want to play me a song here that really resonate with what we just spoke of here. So yeah, it is it's really cool. So I play the song for us all to hear. All right, so here it comes. Yeah, this one. I'm gonna end with this one.
You try with a federation, the whole thing end in confusion. CARICOM and then CARIFTA, but somehow a spelling disaster. Mr. West Indian politician, you went to a big institution, and how come you can't unite 7 million? When a West Indian unity, I know it's very easy. If you only rap to your people and tell them like me, them is one race, the Caribbean man, from the same place, the Caribbean man, that make the same trip, the Caribbean man, on the same ship, the Caribbean man. So we must push one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for we woman and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. You say that the Federation was imported quite from England, and you're going and form a CARIFTA with a true West Indian flavor. But since CARIFTA started running, morning, noon and night all are hearing, with just money speech, them Prime Minister giving. But I say no set of money, good form a unity. First of all, your people need their identity like one race, from the same place, that make the same trip, on the same ship. So we must push one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for we woman and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. CARICOM is wasting time, the whole Caribbean gone blind. If we don't know from where we come in, then we can't plan where we going. That's why some want to be communist, brother, some want to be socialist, and one set a religion to add to the foolishness. Look, a man who don't know his history can't form no unity. How could a man who don't know his roots form his own from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. So we must push one common intention, it's for a better life in the region. For we women and we children, that must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. The Federation done dead, and Carifta going to bed. But the cult of the Rastafarian spreading through the Caribbean. It have Rastas now in Grenada, it have Rastas now in St. Lucia. But to run Carifta, yes, you getting pressure. If the Rastafari movement spreading and Carifta dying slow, then it's something that Rastas on. That them politicians who know that there's one race from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. And so they pushing one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for the woman and their children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.
The world over, you just a freeloader. Problems every day, you have nothing to say. You rather run and hide before you take a side. I tell you, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. In your whole lifespan, you never make one stand. Stand up for something or you will die for nothing. People dying every day and you have nothing to say. Stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Stand up, stand up, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Workers out striking, blackjacks protesting. Before you join the fight, you'd rather break the strike. Don't like the condition, so they fight in the election. Before you sympathize, you'd rather criticize. I tell you, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Corruption down with road, still you will not vote. Why? Stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Killing going on every day, you have nothing to say. Stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Stand up, stand up, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Talking the talk, people walking the walk. You happy as ever to be a fence watcher. Life's a precious thing for you to be within. Stand up and play your part and play it from your heart. I tell you, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Get up, my friend, your life's soon within. I tell you, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. So your grandchildren too would be proud of you. I tell you, stand up for something or you will die for nothing. Stand up, stand up, stand up for something or you will die for nothing.
Nuclear warhead, do I see it torn down? And there's an army in retreat. I see the old colonials of Europe become united, and perestroika fills the streets. I see the eagle on the shoulder of the bear, or maybe it's the other way around. Is this the calm before the hellfire? Or is our tomorrow really heaven bound? But 1990, the blood flows in Bogota, and from Beirut to Johannesburg, the rivers don't stop. 1990, third world children still wander in their boats, their jungles, their deserts, until they drop. It is strange. More we change, rearrange. Everything just seems the same as we move into the next century. 1990, please make a liar of me. Oh, 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 and what we do one day. Oh, 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 and what we do one day. Oh, 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 and what we do one day. There is a black man on the run through a lonely Beijing street. There he goes, my God, he's running again. This time through Brooklyn, Howard Beach. And there he goes again through the streets of Soweto. I'm saying, so this story goes. And the man they call Alabama shrugs and says, deja vu, I suppose. 1990, will our children stand firm, or will they keep running and running and running till the end of time? 1990, will hands of love ever reach out, or will they be there just to strengthen the crime? It is strange. More we change, rearrange. Ooh, everything just seems the same as we move into the next century. 1990, please make a liar of me. Oh, 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 oh. Eastern Europe seems like Parliament was just different color, different place, different name, but people still shouting power, power to the people and solidarity. The game, even Tiananmen Square seemed like Woodstock until the tanks began to play, and their song was then written in blood, and the unsung system blew the children away. 1990, will we see it tomorrow? Where our children will truly be free. 1990, is it joy, is it sorrow? As we move into the 21st century, it is strange. More we change, rearrange, everything stays the same. Have we reached to this higher plane? Or maybe it's just a touch of the 60s all over again. 1990, will our islands ever rise? Or will we keep on running and begging? The islands must fail. 1990, in this world monopoly, do we ever pass go? Or do we move straight to jail? It is strange. The more we change, rearrange, oh yeah, everything just seems the same as we move into the next century. 1990, make a believer of me. Oh, 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 Hamadibimande. Oh, 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 Hamadibimande. Oh, 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 Hamadibimande. Ramiding, Pimpinande, Hamadibimande. Oh, 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 Mande. Oh, 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 Hamadibimande. Rimendimande. Bumbambidimande. Hamadibimande.
Check out every friend Begonian. All of them have the solution. How to run this twin island and get the people out of this jam. You take a chance and give them the work, not realizing they was making joke. After once you start knowing, it's only old talk you was getting, because Chip no, Jack no, Harry know how to run the show. Paul no, Mac no, till the country falling down low. Low, the country falling down low. The country breaking down. You can see how the whole place tumbling down, and there's so much pride people in down. Low, the country falling down. Low, the country breaking down. You can see how that firm just tumbling down, and so much pride people in down. They got scholarship and they went away to come back down and help me, they say. So as they reach, they make we know they qualify to run the show. We tell they have plenty sense. In them we put we confidence. After once we get to realize was only word in front of the eyes. Jim know, Matty know, Paul know how to run the show. Right now, George goes till the country falling down low. Low, the country falling down. Low, the country breaking down. You will see how the country falling down. And so much right people in town. Low, the country falling down. Low, the country breaking down. You will see how the whole place tumbling down. And so much right people in town. Some don't care if they win or lose. Everybody want to be boss. No one wants to take order. Everybody want to be leader. All man want top position to satisfy their own ambition. Not knowing in this world today, everybody have the part to play. Flo know, Mary know, Harry know how to run the show. But no, Kerry knows till the country falling down low. Low, the country falling down. Low, the whole place breaking down. You will see how the country falling down. And so much bright people in town. Low, the country breaking down. All the phones they're stumbling down. You will see how the place they're stumbling down. And it's so much bright people in town. Low. If one really want to get through, one must know what one can do. Do what you have to do, I say, and leave the rest for someone to play. Don't go off on no ego trip. That would only rock the ship. And if you listen to what I say, tomorrow would be a better day. Loud no, Rash no, Harry know how to run the show. Ming no, Link no, still the country falling down low. Low, the country falling down low. The whole place breaking down. Let's see how the country falling down. And so much bright people in town. Low, the country falling down low. The whole place breaking down. Let's see how the phones are stumbling down. And there's so much bright people in town. With them. You will see how the country falling down, and there's so much bright people in town. With them falling down, you will see how the country, yes, the whole damn place just falling down, and there's so much PhD in town. With them, you will see how the country falling down, and there's so much PhD in town. With them. As you see how the whole place tumbling down, and there's so much bright people in town. Lord, country falling down. You get up one morning, your elders have something, you don't know how they get it, but you want to use it. But if you ask them old people to get the thing what they went through, ask them this any day, and them elders sure to say, black man got to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Because your mind will work 10 times harder to get something because of your color. Black man got to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. People rob you, humiliate you, turn around and whip you, and then they free you. Black man got to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you hear, you get a little something. With a 4-5 friends, look your mark in. Because you don't know already. Black man don't get nothing easy. You get up one morning, and oil money running. How it come you don't know. You don't care how the thing go. But if you read about Uriah, you go find out about the pressure. How they get so much whole hell. Get a penny from PLL. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money. Pay people for your own refinery. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician. To make money out of scrap iron. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get your little something. With a dragon and you keep marking. Because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. You get up one morning, independence happening. You think the thing come easy, you start taking liberty. But if you know about petition, we had to send to England for some woman to tell we in this colony free. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in London to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You play slave you, and then they whip you, turn wrong and sell you, and then they free you. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With a dragon and you keep marking, because you don't know this already. Black man don't get freedom easy. So when a black man have something, you got to start thinking. You get it easy. You got to practice economy. From getting it from the slave master to become the landowner is a terrible journey. Black with plenty brutality. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. You must make up your mind that you're able to get a pony and jam with the devil. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. You got to make up your mind that you're ready to swim on shore and rock your boat steady. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With a hook, you better keep watching. Because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. You got to put up a conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're able to get up money and fight down the devil. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. People rob you, humiliate you, turn wrong and beat you, wrong and lash you. Black man got to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. You got to stand up.
Well then, this is simple then. Big enough DJ Soca-holic, you don't know. Charlie from the maddest Soca DJ from all about. Go!
You say you want person, this piece has my time. Unless you find one with capable hands. Well, if come a honey, it's your private property. I can disagree with your policy. Just show me the will you get from your father. That's the honor seal that you own Grenada. Show me the will you got and show. Show me the will you get from your father. That's the under seal that you own Grenada. Show me the will your grandfather gave you, and father must steal. I want to see the title. You put all joy slots into foreign hands. Can't live in the island. Famous Mongrat man. For marine resources, you give that away too. But if they belong to you, nothing I could do. Just show me the will you get from your father. That's the under seal that you own Grenada. Show me the will your grandfather gave you, and father was still. I want to see the title. It could be your own country, and we just don't know. The paper from the registry, take it out and show. Show me the will you get from your father. That's the under seal. Show me the will your grandfather gave you, and father was still. I want to see the title. Sound of the thing now. Consider that. Wait one. Vincent or St. Vincent? Vincent? Yeah, your butt paper. Once you have your butt paper, you won't be a Grenada. Once you have your butt paper, you won't be a Grenada. I say if you have it, take it out and wave it. Oh yes, if you have it, take it out and wave it. Once you live in string baby here, you won't be land. So when I'm all head or rasta, all of us belong. Once you live in string baby here, you won't be land. So when I'm all head or rasta, all of us belong. You Gary, they think that we're great, but run down my honey, like you own a state. When the masses rose up and said, you own this land, he had to live down with Ethiopia gone. So show me the will you get from your father, that's the under seal, that you own Grenada. Show me the will your grandfather gave you, and father must steal. I want to see the title. It could be your own country, and we just don't know. The paper from the registry, take it out and show. Show me the will you get from your father. That's the under seal.
Yo, it's Shiny, and I'm sorry to say, pick up DJ Silverholic.
And father must steal. I want to see the title. Show me the will you get from your father. That's the under seal that you own Grenada. Show me the will your grandfather gave you, and father was still. I want to see the title. Once you live in string baby here, you own Mr. Land. So when the ball head or rasta, all of us belong. Once you have your butt paper, you won't be a Grenada. Once you have your butt paper, you won't be a Grenada. I say if you have it, take it out and wave it. Oh yes, if you have it, take it out and wave it. I say if you have it, take it out and wave it. Oh yes, if you have it, take it out and wave it. I say if you have it, take it out and wave it. Oh yes, if you have it, take it out and wave it. I say if you have it, take it out and wave it.